Flagler, Volusia, Lake, St. John's, and they get a great education if they can't find a job. I'm incensed about the effort by my Republican opponent, Ron DeSantis, to take 71,000 people off of health care in the District 6. And I think we need a better conversation and better solutions coming out of Washington. So yes, I'm stepping up to run for office again.
So I want to show you, had an announcement this week in DeLand. We got some photos that we can show there. Why did you choose DeLand? And this District 6 has kind of changed. We went redistricting last year, so it moved a little farther south and central than it used to be.
Well, the gerrymandering around here is crazy. No one knows where the lines are. This is a new district from 2016. It's just south of St. Augustine all the way to New Smyrna. And I live in Crescent Beach in the district, and that's the race that I'm going to win in November 2018. It's a long haul. Had a great campaign kickoff in DeLand. Lots of people. You can feel the energy, not from traditional politicians, but from normal people who want to protect their health care. They want a better job, better education, and real solutions. I think the partisan bickering and the dysfunction in Washington is motivating people that I've never seen before. It's unbelievable how strong the sense is that we need a better government in Washington, and we need real solutions, not slogans.
Well, and when it comes to campaigning, sometimes it is, I've got some talking points. I got to make sure everybody hears what I have to say. Your team has created a video that we can show here that really kind of talks about some of your values and what's important to you. Tell me some of those things.
Well, look, I was raised with a great big family. My mom's an English teacher. My dad was an engineer, Korean War vet, and I was taught to try and make a difference in your life. And that's what I've done my whole life, whether it's in government or teaching students for the last decade at UNF. And now I feel that my talents are best used in trying to win a seat in Congress so the people of this area can have better representation. And that's exactly what I'll do. I have a great campaign video, the website soderbergforcongress.com. Encourage people to visit it and learn more about our race.
Well, maybe last thing for you here. How would you solve one of the biggest issues, one of the most sensitive and divisive issues, health care? Many Democrats agree that the Affordable Care Act could do better, really must do better. What would you do to solve it?
I think everyone agrees it must do better, but the answer isn't to rip it up and take it away. What the Affordable Health Care Act needs is to make it affordable. It's not affordable for many people. Premiums are skyrocketing, and we need to fix those issues and stabilize the market. The fact that this administration and my opponent, Ron DeSantis, voted to take it away from 23 million people, put at-risk people who have pre-existing conditions, keeping your kids on health care at 26 up until they're 26 years old. That's just wrong, and the people are rejecting that. A lot of people question the state of our democracy. I have a lot of faith in our democracy. You can feel it, our press, our courts, the people flooding the streets, the airwaves, Twitter, phone calls to the Congress. It makes a difference, and we're a very strong democracy, and I think it's going to get stronger in the next couple of years when people realize what's at stake. You can feel it.
Final thing for you, off the topic of campaigning, you worked in the Senate, you've been in Washington, I understand you know Senator John McCain. What would you say after this diagnosis this week of brain cancer for him?
Well, our hearts and prayers go out to him and his family. I served with him when I served in the Senate. He's a lovely man, amazing public servant. We all wish him a speedy recovery, but it sounds scary for all of his friends and family.
Yeah, he makes an impact, certainly, and makes an impression on you when you meet him in person and know some of his story. We're knowing more about your story. Nancy Soderberg, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to step away, and when we come back, we're diving into some of the national research with a local expert, UNF's Dr. Michael Binder, next on This Week in Jacksonville.
Model year end at Nissan. And we're giving you the bottom line on our best lineup ever. Save big on America's best-selling SUV, America's best truck warranty, and introducing the brand new Rogue Sport, the agile addition to the Nissan Rogue family. Get to Nissan's bottom line model year end event and lease the Rogue family today, starting at just $159 per month, or save up to $11,260 on select models.
Mom life is a wildlife. then some days the animals run the zoo. But it's worth it for the bear hugs. And when it comes to feeding time, you've got this. Land O'Frost Premium Lunch Meat. Lots of protein, perfect for their lots of energy. When they love it, you'll find a moment of peace in the jungle. Land O'Frost, what those wild ones want to eat. Oh, I'll take it. Okay.
4 seconds on the clock. Down by 1. Championship on the line. Aaron, the sharpshooter Shanahan, fakes left. She's outside of the key. She shoots. She scores.
Yes, Aaron, it is a great time to score a deal. We need to make room for the 2018 models.
Relive the thrill of beating the clock. The Volkswagen Model Year-End Event. During the Volkswagen Model Year-End Event, you can lease a 2017 Jetta S for just $119 a month.
I'm Robert Palmer, president of RP Funding. Interest rates have unexpectedly dropped, creating an opportunity to lower your monthly mortgage payment. You can take advantage of this huge potential savings by refinancing with RP Funding. And as always, I'll pay all your closing costs. I've paid over $10 million in closing costs for homeowners just like you. So now, let me pay yours. Go to rpfunding.com or call us today.
Now at the Honda Summerbration sales event, you can get a great deal on a Honda Fit and kick summer up to a whole new level. Make it a summer to remember at the Honda Summerbration sales event today. Hurry in and get a great deal on a Honda Fit from KBB.com's best value brand at your local Honda dealer.
Traffic cameras found all over Jacksonville. When they flash, you get a ticket. But what if you weren't even there?
It's clearly a red light, but it's clearly not my car either.
That's exactly what happened to one local man. The I-Team getting results.
This is a big problem.
Who's to blame?
How you can get a ticket for something you didn't even do. Red Light Ripoff. Monday starting at 5 on News 4 Jax. Worth watching every day. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
Thanks for staying with us this morning. Former Congresswoman Gwen Graham visited Jacksonville this week. She had an announcement about a couple local endorsements as she runs for governor. Graham appeared at the Mary Singleton Senior Center, introduced by City Councilman Garrett Dennis. Dennis endorsing Graham for governor. Former Jacksonville Mayor Jake Godbold did not appear in person, but he offered a statement endorsing Graham. Godbold saying Graham will invest in helping Jacksonville grow if she's elected as governor. Graham says she's running to try and bridge a partisan divide.
First, I'm not a career politician. This is something that I made the decision to run for office in 2012 because I was very tired with what I saw in our politics today. I believe very strongly that the reason you run for office and the reason you serve is so that you're in a position to help people. We've gotten away from that in our elected officials, unfortunately, and I'm committed to winning this race and being a governor that is fighting and working on behalf of Floridians every single day. That's why I'm running. It's not about the title. It's about the ability to help people.
And this week, Governor Rick Scott visited Florida Forklift's new facility in Jacksonville. It was founded as Tampa Forklift in 1974, but Florida Forklift's a dealer of new, used, and rental forklifts. That company has added locations in Winter Haven, Orlando, Jacksonville, and Fort Myers. Governor Scott, as you see here, making that appearance, he used the new Jacksonville facility to talk about allowing small businesses to continue growth and to create additional opportunities in the community. You know, last segment we talked about Congressman Ron DeSantis. He said that he's exploring a run for governor. Well, we know Governor Scott is term limited. We also understand Governor Scott may be looking at a run for U.S. Senate next year. He has not confirmed that or made any announcements on his plans just yet. So we want to welcome back to our table Dr. Michael Binder from the University of North Florida. It's good to have you back and to talk to us about some things. We could talk about some of those races, but there's so much to talk about when it comes to the national scene. So many people are already talking about it. So many people from both sides are saying it's my way, no, it's that way. Why don't
we haven't been talking about national politics at all lately.
Not at all. Why don't we talk about some of the research? What you do at UNF with the Public Opinion Research Laboratory is some of that polling, and gets very specific and can be really local or regional or national. I want to give a chance to hear some of your thoughts on some of what's happening elsewhere. So let's look at this first poll that I wanted to pull out. It's a Quinnipiac poll from the end of June. It says the Republican plan to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. How do people feel about it? Well, 16% of the people are saying the Republican plan, they approve of it. I should say only 16% approve, right? 58% disapproving. And then what I've learned through people like you, Dr. Binder, is that you dive deeper. And among the people who disapprove, 48% strongly disapprove. And among the people who approve, only 6% approve strongly. And then we got this quarter of the population, 26%, saying they don't know. They're undecided. Right. It seems like healthcare is that really big issue that nobody really agrees on right now.
Well, its problem is it's so complicated, and there's different perspectives from everybody. The Republicans for 7 years have been talking about we need to repeal Obamacare. It's the Obama legacy. They just want to get rid of it. They focus on the problems, the rising premiums, the insurance companies pulling out of certain markets. But on the flip side of that, there's people that now have health insurance, either via applying and then getting on Medicaid or working through the exchanges, that had pre-existing conditions that either couldn't get insurance at all or whose premiums were so outrageous they couldn't bear to afford them. Now they do. And as we all know, everybody knows somebody who has a pre-existing condition. Just talked about Senator McCain in a previous segment and the cancer he's dealing with. These are all issues that affect all Americans. And with the recent CBO scores that have come out, estimating unflattering at best, at minimum 20+ million being off the rolls of having health insurance, maybe 30 if they don't put any plans in. Those are big numbers. Those are scary, and I think that's leading to a lot of the lack of support for the Republican plan to either repeal it and replace it with their version.
Yeah, so the House had already put forward a plan and they'd voted on it. That really, we've been dealing with the Senate plan and where it would go. So the kind of opposite side of this, there's a Gallup poll out there that I wanted to show you about the Affordable Care Act. And what this is saying is that the approval of the ACA, what many people call Obamacare, has gone up, that it was only between 37 and 48% of people approving it while President Obama was in office. This is his healthcare law, right? But this April, the approval was up to 55%, and even this month, it's still at 53%. What does that tell you about, I guess, opinions for Americans? Because as you mentioned, for 7 years, Republicans were saying this is terrible and we're going to get rid of it as soon as we have a chance to be in power.
I think this is true, and you see this a lot in political races with candidates. When the candidates by themselves, their support gets lower, but all of a sudden when you look at the alternative, and the alternative isn't what you thought it might be, your ideal version, suddenly the status quo that you have looks a lot better. And that's what's happening with Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. Everybody looked at it and said, well, it's not what I would want. But holy cow, look at this thing over here. The world without it or the world with this Republican replacement is much worse. So suddenly this doesn't look so bad. And I think we're seeing a lot of that with the Affordable Care Act.
The president, as he was elected and took office, he said, okay, I'm checking off the list of things that were going to be priorities, and repeal and replace is one of them. How does this make the president look when he can't get a signature item crossed off in these? I mean, it's been 6 months now, 6 months this past week since he was inaugurated.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that you can classify this except as a failure for the administration. And I think they see it that way as well. They'll point to Democrats not voting, not supporting it, not a single Democrat. However, if you look back to 2010, Obama didn't have a single Republican support it when they got Obamacare passed with 60 votes. So they needed to do something. They couldn't keep their coalition together, and Republicans, not having been in control of government in a few years, may have forgotten that governing is harder when you need to keep a coalition together, when you don't have a unified enemy that they had in President Obama.
Yeah, we're going to stay together for a little bit longer, but before we get to the end of this segment and take a commercial, I wanted to ask you about what's going on with the president's son, the former Donald Trump campaign chairman, Paul Manafort. They've now been scheduled to testify before a Senate panel. A public hearing going to take place this week, July 26th. And then they're expected to be questioned about the Russian meddling in the 2016 election. Donald Trump Jr., he's been in the headlines because of that meeting last year with the Russian attorney over possibly damaging information on Hillary Clinton. Also set to meet with the committee is Trump's son-in-law and his advisor, Jared Kushner. All of this, is this kind of the new normal? It just seems like every week there's something else going on with the administration that takes away from what the president's trying to accomplish, right?
I hope not is the short answer for the country's sake. This is not what we need to be focused on. But I think this gives you an appreciation of the previous president and even previous presidents, plural. Right. This is not something that happened under Obama. This is not the type of things we saw with the Bush presidencies. So I think this is something that's a problem for the administration. It's preventing them from staying on message. And a lot of it's their own doing. It's them not revealing things when they were supposed to. It's them switching stories and explaining what was happening, what wasn't happening, who was there, who wasn't there. Oh, I wasn't there. This was about adoptions. These problems need to be cleared up. And as the longer this goes, the less you think that it's going to change.
A lot to chew on there for a second, huh? So don't go anywhere. I appreciate your insights. And you don't go anywhere either. We're coming back in just a moment. A war hero, longtime public servant, a former prisoner of war. We've spoken about him just a little bit already. We've got an interview with someone who served with John McCain in the Senate. Bob Graham's wishes for his friend. Next on This Week in Jacksonville.
Your summer moment awaits you now that the Summer of Audi sales event is here. Get exceptional offers now during the Summer of Audi sales event.
This summer, people are experiencing all the excitement Chevy has to offer.
Oh boy, I'm looking straight up. Holy smokes. I can't tell I'm towing anything.
Go for thrilling drives and deals at the Chevy Summer Drive.
I want to go to a Chevy dealership right when I get home.
Current qualified competitive lessees can get this Chevy Malibu for around $199 a month. Or get $2,500 total cash allowance on this Chevy Malibu. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Mattress Firm announces our coolest sleep sale ever. Don't sleep hot anymore. Get the newest in cooling mattress technology, like the Serta iComfort Temp Touch, gel-infused for cooling comfort, only $37 a month. Serta Memory Foam Queen mattresses, just $499.99. And get the exclusive Beauty Rest Black Memory Foam with black ice, interest-free for 6 years. Plus, get daily deals on everything from free pillows to 50% off mattresses, only at Mattress Firm.